everyone, welcome to Let's Talk Mommy, and we're here for another episode of my expat life. Now we're getting really juicy and really personal with the questions that have been flooding in from Twitter, Facebook, and all over social media for my little series. And I thank you guys so much for continuing to watch my episodes and get involved with the series and send your questions in. So the first question on episode 6 is, what did my husband give up? Because I've been talking about so much of what I've given up and how I've dealt with it and how I've changed. Now you all want to know what my husband's done on his side of it. And I think it gets overlooked because everyone always assumes, oh, she's the expat, she did all the give, and she left her culture and she left her friends. And yes, that's true. But it was still a big change for him. I mean, we were in our 20s. He didn't get to just date someone normal. We go on dates and get to know each other before we lived together. I basically moved over and I moved in right away. So he had never lived with anybody. So he had to learn how to live with someone, as well as live with a girlfriend, which is completely different than living with a roommate. And we got to know each other in the same four walls. We didn't get that personal space, that privacy. I mean, he was a 20-something guy who, most guys like their space. They like to go out with their friends while they're dating their girlfriend. But he quickly had to adjust that, and I was the tag-along really because I had no friends. I didn't know my way around. I couldn't go to work yet because I didn't have my work visa. So he had to give a lot up in that first year of what we would normally have in a normal relationship. He had to, every waking moment, make me feel like this would be my new home and that I wasn't too lonely and I wasn't missing home too much, and I was staying entertained and getting out as much as possible. So he really, really stepped to the plate, and he gave up all that for me in that first year, and it was really tough for both of us, but I think it made our relationship even stronger. So I feel like when people say that I'm the only one that ever gave up anything, it's not true. He's had to give up a lot too, and he's had to try harder and probably focus more on me than he would just a normal relationship and a normal girlfriend that lived down the street that he had met. So I give him a lot of credit that others don't because he really deserves that. So it's a good question. The next one, while I don't really want to say it, I did put my foot in my mouth because I said anything goes, any questions, and I've had 2 people now ask, and I'll blush while I say it, whether sex with someone from another country is the same. You think, stupid question, yes. Of course, we're all humans and passion and love works the same way. But there are cultural differences in that area as well. I mean, in America, for example, all men are circumcised. And in England, all men aren't. So that's a big surprise and something you get used to. But like I said, there are cultural differences, but love and passion are the same. And so when it came down to having a son of my own, we had to really think about what culture he would live in, whether or not to circumcise him or not circumcise him. So I'm answering your question because I said anything goes. So we're getting personal here. Question 3 was more about breaking my mother's heart. A few have asked me how I could move across the world and do that to her, because most people on social media know that I'm really close with my mom. We FaceTime and text and emails, which social media has made it so much easier to stay in touch with her, which is amazing. And yes, I did break her heart leaving. Now that I'm a parent, I realize that I can imagine what it would feel like if Missy Moo moved across the world and I didn't get to see her all the time. But at the same time, my mom was so supportive, and she gave me my wings and she let me fly, and she gave me the support I needed to go off and do my own adventure, and that I wasn't living my life for her. So she never once asked me to stay. And to me, that means so much to me. And it doesn't mean that we're not close, and it doesn't mean that she didn't care or wanted to fight and cry that I would live right next door to her the rest of my life, because as a parent, we all want that. We all want to be close. But she was amazing in that respect. So I give her a lot of credit for that. My next question, do I feel like I am a nomad? And in that sense, I know the person that asked me this probably has lived somewhere either abroad or away from their family and friends, because most people don't understand that unless they've done it. And for me, yes, you feel like you're floating in between 2 cultures, in between 2 countries. You don't feel like you solely belong to one or solely belong to the other, where one has your past and one has your present, is a great feeling. At the same time, if someone said, would you move back home tomorrow? Yes, that'd be amazing. But it doesn't mean that I'd necessarily fit right back in. It would be the exact same, or I'd feel the same way, because you change wherever you live and you get comfortable and you get used to the new ways of life. And it's not to say I wouldn't miss here, which is the next question. Someone asked if I moved back home or away, would I miss here? And of course, I have so many memories now here. I have my family, my children were born here, and I created a life here. So you do feel like that nomad, that floating person in between cultures and countries, and you actually don't feel like you belong anywhere. Really, you're kind of like the alien that sticks out no matter where you go now, because you've changed so much from your past, but you've also gained your present. So it is a really weird feeling, and if you have never lived in two different places, you kind of don't understand that pull between two and feeling like a nomad. But definitely, I definitely feel like I'm floating sometimes. My next question, is there any benefits of being an expat? And I understand why people keep asking this, because I'm constantly complaining about, not complaining, but venting how hard it is, or the struggles I went through, or what it's like to be an expat. And for me, there's amazing benefits of living in another culture and another country. You get, not to mention learning that new culture and new country and that experience. That's a life experience, to get out of your bubble where you've grown up all your life and experience new things and have the unknown right in front of you is a great adventure in life. And I think benefits of living here is amazing, because I mean, I'm close to all these amazing countries and cultures. At the drop of a hat, I can get on a plane in an hour and a half or even less. I can be in another culture, in another country, learning new things and really broadening our horizons, as they say. And I think that's an amazing feeling. I don't know if I could ever just live in one place where I grew up and never venture out. So there's amazing benefits to living in an expat. My next question goes along with that one, because someone said, would you move abroad elsewhere instead of going back to America? And I would, of course I would. I think it's the best experience. It'd be a great experience for my children. I'd love to go somewhere where they speak another language and divulge myself into it and just learn how another culture lives and another language fully, and just live life as full as possible. The next question is more about budget and finance of being an expat. And yes, it is very expensive being an expat if you still want to be tied back home and still want to visit back home, but you also want to live a life in your new home. Because what you get that ballot, or you get that pull between wanting to fly home every time you have money and a chance to see your family and friends, but you also have the life pull of you still want a holiday, you still want to go to beaches, and you still want to go to new places, and you only have this much money and this much time to do all that. So most of the time you're going to pick your family and friends, I hope, over those beach holidays and amazing adventures. But sometimes it's nice just to be selfish and have those family holidays, or have those extra adventures and those places you want to see. So it does get costly being an expat if you still want to live that kind of life. It also gets expensive with visas. I'm having to renew visas and pay for 2 passports and 2 of this and that for my children as well. And they both have 2 passports. They both have their social security numbers. They both have their birth certificates in both countries, and that gets very expensive. So there is a cost to being an expat, I'm not gonna lie. So good questions. We're getting personal and we're getting deep here. I like it. The next question, do I ever regret my decision? And I think someone that asked this was thinking more of the lines of, obviously I don't regret. I love my husband and I have my gorgeous children and I love that and I love my life and I'm very grateful for it. I think they meant more of in terms of the difficulties I've faced, whether I have dated someone in my own town and would have been a lot easier and a lot cheaper and a lot less heartache. And yes, that's true. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I am human. I do think, oh, it would have been so much easier if we were just from the same country and the same place and the same culture, and it wouldn't be so difficult. But life would just be boring then, I think, for me, because this is all that I know. So I don't regret it, but I do have bad days where I think it could have been easier another way. But I want to put out there, I am grateful. I do love my life and my family, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The next one's great. The question was, do I ever fight with my husband and throw it in his face? Now, I have two answers to that. I could say, of course not. I would never do that. But I'm human again, and of course we fight. We're husband and wife, and every relationship has hiccups, and every person is different and has different experiences in how they deal with things, especially from two countries. We've had our fair share of disagreements. But I will say, of course, I've thrown it in his face, probably more so in the first 3 years or 4 years that I was having trouble and I was only in my 20s and I was a silly girl. And it's not fair. Of course it's not fair to say, you know, I've said them all probably, but for instance, I've moved here for you, I've left everything for you, this, and this. And that is the worst fight you could ever have because it's just not fair, it's not true. I mean, it's true that I left, but it's not true. It was my decision. It's nobody else's. I've chosen this. And you deal with it really. And I've probably haven't thrown it in a fight in probably 5 years since I've become an adult, I say, and had my children. And it's just an unfair comment. He's given up things too. And we've definitely not had a normal start to a relationship. But of course we fight and sometimes it does come up. I'm only human. And that's human nature sometimes. We're a bit naughty. And my last question was, would I miss it if I left tomorrow? And would I come back to visit? And I kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier in another question. But yes, I would miss it. My kids were born here, so I always have a soft spot for it. It'll always be part of their life. It'll always be part of my life. And would I come back and visit? I don't know. It depends on where we moved. If we moved to Spain and France, we probably could afford to come back and visit and see friends. We have more family in Ireland and in America and not many family in England, so it probably wouldn't be our focal point if we moved all the way to America because it gets really expensive to fly a whole family across the world. And without any family here, it would only be to see friends, so we probably wouldn't make it back as often. And I don't know if I've moved somewhere else, if I'd ever move back, just because it's almost like that checklist of life that you've already been there, lived there and experienced it, and you want to look on to the next new thing. So in 5 years, 10 years, I might be in America, I might be in Spain, or it might still be here. You just don't know, and that's what I love about being an expat. It kind of gives you that added edge of living a life till its fullest, and I'm really enjoying it. So I hope you've enjoyed my episode 6, and please keep all your questions coming. I know some of them got personal, but that's what I love. I love sharing the small bits from what do I miss and the foods I like or don't like to the big questions about, you know, a different kind of marriage and a different culture and how that affects us and stuff. So please catch me on social media at Let's Talk Mommy or on my blog, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.